please mute your mics. And then what we can do is I have this thing here alphabetically ordered. And so we will go according to the alphabetical order. And each of you, if you have any questions, you can ask. But before that, people have sent in some questions in the response sheet, which I will answer first, and then we will have live QA session. So just give me 1 minute. I'm going to mute myself for a minute, and I'll just come back in just 1 minute, okay? And we'll start. Is that okay? Thank you. Okay. Gut, nochmals guten Tag. I will just start the. Okay. So as I said, I will go through the questions. There are about 14 people have asked questions, and I'll just go through them quickly, and then we can go live your questions that you have now. So the first question is from Dilip. Dilip hat eine Frage. Dilip hat eine Frage. Yeah, the first question from Dilip is about the exam pattern in brief. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the exam pattern, basically, you don't need to worry about the exam pattern. If whatever we have been doing as assignments, okay, so you know what assignments are like. I mean, there are some questions about grammar, there are some questions about listening comprehension, then reading comprehension, and fill in the blanks, match the following, write a sentence, etc. So not sentence, actually sentence we are avoiding, because while typing a lot of errors crop up, and then what happens is that it has to be, because there are more than a few thousand people who are registered, it has to be machine corrected. So that's why we are also designing the assignments in such a way that it can be machine corrected. So the thing is that the pattern of the question paper for the exam will be similar to the assignments. Is that okay? Is that clear? So you will have similar questions. There are 4 sections in the question paper in the exam. There is a section on listening comprehension. There's a section on reading comprehension. So listening comprehension means there will be audios linked to questions. You can play the audio yourself. There will be a audio play icon where you will be able to listen to the audio, and the question and the audio will be on the screen at the same time. Each question with the linked audio will be on your screen. You can click the play button, listen to the audio as many times as you want. So the audio, it's not as if it will play only once. You can again go back and listen to it again if you need to, but you have to also remember that it's a 3-hour exam. So you have to keep the time in mind. Okay. So audio questions, then there will be certain texts that will be given, or data sets like, advertisements or texts will be given, which you have to read. And then there will be simple questions on that. Choose the right option or say true or false, things like that. So usually we are avoiding any question where you have to actually type in a sentence, because that leads to a lot of, even if there is one typing error, then the answer is not evaluated properly. Okay, so that is the reading comprehension. Then there is grammar, of course. There's a section on grammar in which all the grammar that we have covered, there'll be small questions on that. So that is the third section. And the fourth section is something that we have not done in the assignments. So the fourth section is that you will be asked to write a small text. You'll be asked to write a small text. Can I mute? Yeah, thank you. Just mute everybody, please. So in the last section, you will be asked to write a small text, maybe about 5 sentences or 8 sentences, and you'll be asked to translate a small text from German into English, and a very simple one from English into German. So it will definitely not go outside of things that we have covered in the course as well as in the assignments. Definitely nothing outside of that. So all the vocabulary, everything is something that you would have covered anyways in the lessons and in the assignments. So the 4 sections in the exam: listening comprehension, where you can listen to the audios any number of times you want, provided you have to manage the time properly. Secondly, reading comprehension, or again, MCQ type questions or true or false type questions. Third section is grammar, where there will be fill in the blanks and again choose the right option, etc. Those type of questions. Only the 4th section is new, which we have not done in the assignments, where you will be asked to write one very simple text. Let's say a personal email to a friend, like I'm coming to Berlin in October or November, and can we go to the cinema, or can whatever it is. I mean, that kind of very simple things that we have covered in the course. There will be one text for translation from German into English, and a much simpler text for translation from English into German. Yeah, that is the pattern. I think there are other people also who have asked about the pattern of the exam. So do you have, I'll come back to the live part and you can ask again if you have any doubts about this. Let me go to the next question from Ayush. Same question. Ayush, I hope I've answered your question as well. What are the kind of questions that are going to be asked for the test? Then the third is from Indrani. And I'll just check what the question here is. Thank you for the compliment, Indrani. Listening comprehension is a bit tough. Yeah, listening comprehension actually, what you can do is, if you can, I don't know whether you've bought our textbook, but if you can buy the textbook, it comes along with the CDs and DVDs, audio CDs, and sometimes you can even buy the DVD for the films. But listening comprehension, because of the fact that we are not based in a German-speaking country, we have to practice with the CDs. I mean, one of the things that I always say to people is, what you can do is you can practice reading aloud. So take a simple text in German from the textbook or from any other source, and you can practice reading aloud. That helps you get the sound of the language. You can yourself monitor how you're speaking. You get a sense of whether you're speaking it right or not. And but for listening comprehension, we have to depend on practicing. What I will do is, within this coming week, we will post a few links on the group where you can find material online to practice this. But generally, it will be of the same level as our textbook material. I hope that answers the question. Indrani, you can come back if you have any further doubt during the live session. Then Meet has no questions. Then Rohit, also no questions. Then Siddhant. Siddhant has a question. One second, I'll just see what exactly the whole question is. Yeah, the recordings are 2 years old. That's right. New recordings. Now, Siddhant, it's not very easy to make new recordings because making a course like this, especially making a course which has live sessions, which I have been told that learners actually feel better that there are live sessions rather than my teaching German to the camera and just lecturing on German language. I think the live sessions that have been used for this course are a little more interesting. So, but it's not easy to do. And I'm also aware of the fact that this course was now recorded in 2019. So it is more than 2 years old. And but what I'm going to try in the coming semester is that I'm going to see where there are gaps in this current course. There are gaps in this current course, I know that. And I'm going to try and record maybe very small videos where I will try and explain a few things that might not have been explained or add a few things that might be relevant. So those things I'm going to add on to the course in the coming 6. I hope in the next semester I have the time to do that, because that also means that I have to come to the studio and all the things have to be done. So I hope to be able to do it next semester, but you're quite right. It is, and maybe another couple of years we'll have to take a call on what to do with the course, whether to have more recordings or not. Second question that Siddhant has is, can we have a live interactive classes every weekend for doubt solving to discuss assignments? One second. Yeah. Every weekend is not possible, but I hope that your queries are being answered on the forum. We have volunteers, 2 or 3 students who have done very well in German. They are the ones who are answering your queries. So I hope that your queries are being answered. But what we can do is we can have one more live session before your exam. That we can do whenever we. So October, I think 3rd is the exam, or 24th. I'm not very sure. But in the first couple of weeks, maybe 2nd or 3rd week of October, we can have one more live session. And if your queries are not being answered on the forum, you please let me know. Then I will also make sure that every query is responded to. Query meaning basically if it is to do with some grammar question or some problem in understanding a particular thing, then we will definitely respond to that. There are some administrative things which we cannot respond to, which you have to write to support@nptel.iitm.ac.in. And but otherwise, if it is something to do with the subject as such, then we will try and respond to each query. Can there be a new section added in the course if an individual wants to give the International A1 exam from Goethe Institute and discuss recent papers, or a live session on it, 2 to 4 sessions? Yes, we can think about it, but you know, how do I put this? Because we will definitely think about having an online live session now that the online is very much very widely practiced and very widely done. We will definitely try to have an online session if there are enough participants who want to take the Goethe Institute exam for an international certification. That we can definitely think of maybe sometime a month after our exam, maybe towards the end of November or sometime in mid-December or something like that. But yes, please do mail me. I think my official email ID is available online. I mean, it's open. So on the IITM website, you'll find my email ID. So if you are planning to give an international exam, then please mail me, and we will try and have a session on what else you need to do to prepare for that exam, apart from, actually, if you do this A1 course well, German 1 course well, we have, our experience is that generally students who do this course well, they do very well in the Goethe exam. The only thing that they that they cannot practice and they need to practice by themselves is spoken German. That is one component that we cannot do because of our constraints. But otherwise, in the other sections, they do quite well. So I hope, Siddhant, I've answered your question. And this is for everybody who's logged in and who wants to give some time later this year, towards the end of this year or early next year, exam. Then, Bhagyashree has no question. Stephen Pereira's his question is, please tell how one can improve German speaking and listening skills without a partner. That I think Stephen, I've answered the question just now, because what we can do is we can read texts aloud, and we need to practice with whatever material we have. For listening comprehension, as I said, over the coming week or so, we will post a few links on the group so that you can. Lot of material is available online for German learning. A lot of people have also uploaded videos explaining certain things. You can find many videos online if you don't understand a particular thing. But we'll post links for listening comprehension. Okay. Then Vivek asks, while reading, is it okay to skip some words in a sentence or phrase if one is not 100% sure of some word meaning and make assumptions about those meanings while continuing to read ahead? This is always possible, Vivek, but it can work both ways. I mean, if you miss out a crucial word, like if you miss out a negation, for example, then you don't know whether the sentence is saying that this is true or this is false. Okay, so that kind of a thing is, and I think at the A1 level, we are not yet that conversant with the language to be able to do this kind of skimming. That is, we read very fast. Languages that we know very well, we can do that. I mean, we know which way the argument is going, we know what the author is trying to say, and so we can actually skim and read very fast. But we are still at a stage in German where we are learning to get used to the language, and so it might at this stage it might not be very wise to do this, especially because we might miss some crucial words, and then the meaning that we make of whatever we are reading might actually be incorrect. So also, if you come across a word where you're not sure, then it means you have to go back to the dictionary and look it up. That is always very important at the beginning stage of learning. So don't worry. German is not running away anywhere. You can take your time and learn new words as and when you come across them. Then Saurabh asks, is this course good enough to attempt German CFR A1 certificate exam and also to start life independent in Germany, both professional and personal? Yeah. So yes, CFR A1 level exam, this course is good enough as a preparation, except for speaking, because we cannot practice speaking in this course, and the A1 level exam, every level exam has a speaking component. So that component we cannot, we're not able to, because of our constraints, we're not able to practice that component here in this course. Otherwise, in terms of your the other components that a normal exam has are actually listening comprehension, reading comprehension, grammar, and written expression. So these things, these are the 4 components that we have in our exam as well, and your preparation is generally, but then also depends that you to be the entire thing has to be fresh in your mind when you attempt. Now you can't finish this course in October, let's say, and then in May you attempt the certification exam without much preparation. Then you might find it difficult, because foreign languages we forget very quickly unless we keep in touch with the language. So, but if you keep in touch with the language and within a month or two you attempt the A1 level certification exam, I'm sure you can do well. And we have had instances of people actually doing very well in the certification exam after only this course as a preparation. But the speaking part, you'll have to manage on your own and practice a few simple things on your own. And speaking part is the weak link that we have in our course. But otherwise, it is enough preparation. And the second part of the question that Saurabh has is to start life independently in Germany, professionally and personally. Depends on what you mean, in the sense that if you mean to say that you can find your way when you land in a German city, or you can go and buy some things at the supermarket, or you can exchange pleasantries with your colleagues and friends, yes. But if you mean to say that you need to do things, for example, really get settled in professionally and personally in Germany, then definitely you need to do up to B1 minimum, which is our German 3 course. Okay. So I hope I've answered that question also. Then Tanvi has a question. One second. Yeah, prepositions again, as they are a bit tough to understand. Okay, and the second part is I can't make out. And trennbare verben. Okay. Now, very quickly, prepositions are words that determine a position. Okay. So, for example, I am going to school. To is a preposition. It's showing the direction in which, or the destination to which I'm going. So, this pen is for my friend. For is a preposition because it shows where the pen is going to go. It's going to the friend, for, to, etc. These are prepositions. Now, there are many of them. Prepositions have different properties. I think we'll go back to the relevant. Lectures, classes in our course where prepositions are explained, and usually the problem happens because we tend to translate from English into German and then put it in German. Okay, that is not the correct way to do it. We have to learn the German expression. So, for example, when you write to a friend, that preposition is I'm writing a letter to a friend, TO2 in English. But in German, if you say zu, ZU zu, then that's not correct. Because in our mind, zu comes closest to, but actually the correct preposition of writing to a friend in German is an. Ich schreibe, I write, ich schreibe an einen Freund. Okay, so we need to learn prepositions without translating from English into German and then using them. Learn the German, learn examples with prepositions, and go back to the lectures and see what are the different properties of prepositions. We have done 3 types in German 1. I can't do that here because we have a limited time right now. So I can't go into explaining prepositions in the live session. But I can say that if you don't understand anything specific in the lectures that are there on accusative prepositions, dative prepositions, and vexel, that is changing prepositions, please find out what it is that you don't understand and put it on the forum, and we will definitely respond to that. Okay. I hope that takes care of prepositions. Then Tanvi also asks about trennbare Verben. Trennbare Verben are a very typical German phenomenon. It is not there in other languages that I know. I mean, I'm fairly fluent in Hindi, Marathi, English also, but I don't know trennbare Verben in these languages. But in German there are, and trennbar, the meaning of trennbar is separable. Okay, so what is separable? There are two parts to the verb, and one part, and they are separable. That is, when we use the verb in a sentence, those parts get separated, and then they get positioned in a particular manner. Okay, so that is what is trennbare Verben or separable verbs. So usually it is a verb, and it has a small prefix before the verb. Like you must have seen examples of common. Common is to come, but when you add un to it, uncommon is to arrive. Okay, so to come to Chennai and to arrive in Chennai. This is the sense that you have with ich komme nach Chennai, I come to Chennai, and ich komme in Chennai an, I arrive in Chennai. So I'm adding the un to common, and when I use it, uncommon, separable means un will get separated and go to the end of the sentence. Otherwise, the verb is used, common will be used as we use common, but the un will be there at the end of the sentence to signify that it is not in the sense of coming to Chennai that we are using common now, but because the un, we are using it in the sense of arriving in Chennai, uncommon. Okay, so this is in a very, very brief and in a nutshell, this is the separable verbs or trennbare Verben. As I said, it is, I mean, at least I'm not aware of these verbs in the languages that I know. There might be, I mean, I don't know, Spanish, French, other people who have learned other languages might come across something like this in other European languages, maybe. But otherwise, it's a typical German phenomenon. And the trennbar, the separable, is a small part before the verb part, which gets separated and goes to the end of the sentence. And by adding that small part, you're slightly changing the meaning of that verb. Common, to come, becomes uncommon, to arrive. Kaufen, I hope everybody knows what is to kaufen. Kaufen is, anyone can unmute and say kaufen?
Shopping.
So kaufen is to buy.
Buy.
Add a small prefix to it, it becomes shop. Einkaufen, E-I-N, ein. When you say einkaufen, then that to buy, kaufen, changes into to shop, einkaufen. Okay, so this is what happens in this is what happens in trennbare Verben. And I hope, again, I would say, Tanvi, that you please go back to the class, to the lecture in which we have done this in the course. And again, if there are any specific things there that you don't understand, you can identify them and we will respond to that on the forum. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Then there's another question from Saurabh. Where this course and where is this course certificate fits in? How is it? Yeah, it fits into the A1 level. Is it necessary to study from the course book to clear the exam for this course? It would be better. It would be good if you bought the book. The book is. I always feel that the Netzwerk is a good book, and I know that it means spending money. I understand that, but if you are serious about learning German, then I think 1,000 rupees is not a bad investment. It costs, the whole set actually costs about 1,000-1,200 rupees. Online access, there's also an online version, which is a little more expensive. I think the online access for a single individual costs 2,500 rupees for a year or 2 years, something like that. But the print version is available in India. It comes with the textbook, the workbook, the glossary, which means it will give you meanings of all the words in English in the glossary. And there are 2 audio CDs for the textbook and 2 audio CDs for the workbook. So this entire set costs roughly between 1,000 and 1,200 rupees. And it would be, if you can afford it, it would be a good investment because you can keep it, go back to it, practice from it, etc., all the time. If you wish to continue with using German and continue learning German. Then Saif has a question. Saif, is the German sentence similar to English, or as we see sentence translated differently in English? Saif, the very simple answer is every language is a different system. Okay. I hope you can hear me. Every language is a different system. So every language, actually the real test of having acquired a language is, I would say, that you can not just understand the words, but you actually feel the rhythm of a language. That is when you understand how the different, the word called cadences or different ways in which sentences get formed, and simple sentences get compounded. These are quite different in different languages. And so I'm coming back to Saif's question. Yeah. So we need to, very simple sentences like, my name is Milind is okay. My name is Milind in English, and mein Name ist Milind in German. Up to this up to this level of sentence formation, you can find it is very similar. But once it becomes a little more complex, then then, for example, if you want to negate something, then I say in English, I don't want tea. I don't want tea. Okay. I'm negating want. I'm not negating tea. I don't want. What I don't want? Tea. That is in English. But in German, the more common thing is, ich möchte keinen Tee. I would like, I'm not negating I want, but I'm negating tea. Ich möchte keinen Tee. No tea. No tea for me. Ich möchte keinen Tee. So in English, we are negating the wanting. I don't want tea. And in German, we are negating the tea. The basic message is the same, that I'm not going to drink tea. Okay. But in English, it's different in German. So I hope I'm able to illustrate to you that sentence formation beyond a certain level of simplicity, once it becomes a little more complex, is different in different languages. And actually automatically getting sentence formation in German and English and being able to see the contrast, that is a good sign that you're learning German well, when you can see the contrast and appreciate the contrast. Okay, I hope, Saif, I've answered your question. And now we'll take the last three. Please don't type any more questions. There is a question from Tanvi and Akash and Tanvi again. After this, we'll go live because we already half an hour is done. We need to go live also. And I need, there's a question in the chat box I need to check. And we can also probably unmute and talk once in a, maybe. Okay, Tanvi's next question is Wechsel preposition, and briefly, I hope you're clear about accusative and dative. Okay, so accusative is a particular form when a noun appears as an object, and dative is also a form when the noun appears as an indirect object. So Wechsel prepositions, one of the properties of prepositions in all languages, including English, is that they will change the case of whichever noun or pronoun they are governing. Okay, so they will he wants some tea. I give my cup of tea to him. So the he becomes him in English also when it gets attached to to. This is a change in case actually. Now this change in case happens everywhere. In English, we do it automatically because we have learned it. And so in Hindi, in Marathi, in any language that we speak as our mother tongue, we do it very automatically. We're not aware of it. but in German we are aware of it because we are learning it consciously. Okay, so Wechselpräpositionen. Two different cases, accusative and dative. Wechselpräpositionen are those which can change a noun or a pronoun in either case, either dative or accusative. When is it dative and when is it accusative? If the entire sentence is expressing a movement from point A to point B, then it is accusative. If the sentence is expressing a stationary position, then it is dative. And if the sentence is expressing time, then it is dative also. So for example, I go to the cinema. I go to the cinema is a sentence. Somebody can unmute and say what is to go to the cinema in German?
Ins Kino.
Ins Kino gehen.
Thank you. Ins Kino gehen. So when I say I go to the cinema, this obviously is movement. Okay, I'm going to the cinema. So that is why ich gehe ins Kino. Ins Kino means in das Kino. Movement hai, it is accusative. Das Kino remains das Kino. Ich gehe in das Kino. Okay. I'm sitting in the restaurant. Is this is obviously I'm sitting in the restaurant. It is dative. It is a position. So ich sitze in dem Restaurant. Im Restaurant. In dem. Das Restaurant will become in dative. Dem. And so in dem Restaurant. So if it is I'm sitting in the restaurant, this sentence is expressing a stationary position. It is in dem Restaurant. Dative. If I'm going to the cinema, into the cinema hall, ich gehe in das Kino, because gehen is to go, to walk. It is expressing a movement from here into the cinema hall. And so it is in das accusative. Wechsel means changing. Changing prepositions are prepositions that can be either accusative or they can change into dative, depending on whether they are describing movement, then accusative, describing position, dative. In the month of September, we have a live session. In September, in dem September, it is time. It is expressing now, in is expressing time. So September will be in dem September, dative. That's why im September. Okay, this is in a nutshell again, Tanvi, this is Wechselpräpositionen. I would again say, please go back to the lecture where we have done this. I think we also have a practice session on this, if I'm not mistaken. And again, if there are any things that you don't understand there, please ask and we will respond on the forum. And it would be good because then other people also might have the same doubt and they'll also get an answer to their doubt. Okay, so now Akash's question is nothing specific. Thank you, Akash. And then Tanvi is asking exam, but first was failed, but yeah, this is an excellent example of something that I cannot do anything about. So Tanvi, you have to write to support at nptel.iitm.ac. I'll type it here in the, let me see, type a message here. Okay, I will just, but where is my, just give me a moment. Okay, it's here. So support at nptel.ac.in. Yeah, please write to them and explain to them what has happened, and I'm sure they'll respond. Okay, so I have answered all the questions that are there in the response sheet, and we will now go to the chat box. Chat box, okay, Guten Tag. Exam will at some center, online, attend from home. Exam will be at a center, not online. Nidhi. Then Sujata is asking how to practice for the fourth section of the examination. That is the written expression, right? So written expression, please learn your vocabulary. Please go through the, there are chapters in which there are examples of personal emails and so on and so forth, how to write a simple email. I mean, again, we're not going to ask you to write a novel in German. Okay, we're only going to ask you to write, let's say, tell your friend that you're coming to Berlin in this month, and what can we do? Can we go out? Something like that. There are enough examples of that in our lessons. So please, and more than anything else, please make sure that you do your vocabulary well. Okay. If you have an active vocabulary, words that you know for sure, and words you know how to use, of even 250 to 300 words, active vocabulary, I think you can easily handle the fourth section of the examination. I would have said 500 words, but maybe 300 is also okay. But really, that you know them well, that you know how to use the verb, you know the nouns, their genders, and so on and so forth. So, and 300 words is not too much actually. Okay, if you learn 10 words a day, it is 1 month's work. So I hope I've answered the question, Sujata. Then there is a question from Vignesh, is that, or I'm not sure. I can't see the full name. Yeah. Is this course an A1 certification or is it an A1 equivalent, implying if you want a certificate, Vignesh, if you want a certification that is valid internationally, then you have to write an exam conducted by somebody like the Goethe Institute, for example. This certificate is not internationally valid. It gives you, it is meant for students to start learning a foreign language, and it's an A1 level course. And if for the purposes of in the Indian context, it should be valid. I have said this before also, but for the international validity, you have to take the Goethe Institute exam. This exam, because we don't have the first of all, we don't have the spoken component. That is one thing. And secondly, also, I don't know in how far the German certifying agencies, there are certifying agencies, they might accept or agree to give certification rights to a non-German institutions such as NPTEL, for example. Okay, so these are some complications we don't know, but definitely it will prepare you for the A1 exam, and the certificate you get from NPTEL is valid in India. That much I can say with some confidence. Yeah, then Nidhi, I've answered the question. It will be at a center, computer-based exam, at a center, whichever is closest to you or most convenient for you. Okay, Siddhant, thank you. Is there any answer key available for the exercise in the prescribed textbooks? That I have to check. But actually, I think the workbook at the back, there should be answers, because all the books that we've used so far usually have answers at the back of the workbook. But I need to go back to the print. I have not used the printed workbook and textbook for a long time now, because I've been using the online versions and the digital versions for a very long time. So I will go and check again, and I will, if you put this question, who's asked this question? Sana, if you just put this question on the forum, I will check and I'll respond. Okay. I don't have the book here with me. Then Sonal has a question. This is a very basic thing, Sonal. Which article with which word, with which noun? That also we need to remember that articles are relevant only to nouns, not to every word. Okay. So how will we get that? Lernen Sie immer den Artikel und den Plural. That is a very basic thing. Whenever we come across a new word in German, new noun, sorry, my mistake. Every time we come across a new noun in German, without exception, always mug up the article and also the plural of the noun. There is no other way of predicting what gender nouns might have. There are a few, at least 14 different rules by which 14 rules. Better to, whenever you learn a new noun, just learn the article and the plural by heart. Okay. Then Sonal's question is answered. Then Siddhant, can we have a WhatsApp where we can figure out with you and that is not. We have the forum, Siddhant. Please make use of the forum. WhatsApp I'm avoiding because it will be a very big group, and then administering a big group, it's not all that simple. So please make use of the forum, and if there is anything that you have not got answer for in the forum, as I said, if you go to the IIT Madras website, you will find my email ID there. You can just email me, but don't flood my inbox with 150 emails. Okay. So if you haven't understood something, you're welcome to ask, but first put on the forum, not personally to me. Okay, then Vignesh is, are there any words which would force us into a certain case? And how would we keep track of them? Further, what would recommend we focus on studying while? Oh, I didn't understand the first part of the question, Vignesh. I mean, there are verbs which, the verbs which definitely always take an accusative object with them. There are verbs, or 99% of the time, there are verbs in German which are exclusively dative verbs. That is, there is no accusative object at all, always only dative. Then the genitive case, which we haven't done yet in German 1, but since you mention it, the genitive case actually is not required, because if we have the word von, of, and the dative case, then we don't need the genitive case actually. But anyway, so that is how to keep track of them. Practice. What would you recommend we focus on studying while we prepare for the final exam? I hope you have done the assignments well. If you have done the assignments well, keep doing that. Keep doing the assignments till week 12, and give it some, put in some effort in the assignments. If you have the book, go through the book or listen to the lectures, and I think the lectures transcript also is available. That the entire examination, for everybody who's listening, the entire examination is not going to go anywhere beyond the 12 assignments that we have done. Okay, similar type of questions, similar level of questions. It is not going to go beyond that. So if you've done the assignments well, you're well prepared for the examination. The only new element in the exam is asking you to write a small text. For that, I already said that you have to have your vocabulary very clear, and you should have practiced formulating simple sentences, such as, can we go to the cinema tomorrow? Simple. Können wir morgen ins Kino gehen? This kind of a sentence you should be able to write. Or if you see this sentence, if I give you the sentence, can we go to the cinema tomorrow, in English, you should be able to put it into German, saying, können wir morgen ins Kino gehen? Okay, so just make sure that your vocabulary is good for the last and the fourth section of the exam, which is writing ability, and you'll be through. No problems with that. So I hope that is also done. Yeah, Tanvi, your question I've answered now. Support, okay. No, then we just write to them, write to support. No particular person to contact. Support, they will get back to you. Disha, I answered this question. How many sections? There are 4 sections in this exam. And how to get clarity while solving questions based on audio listening. One thing is that the question and the audio will be on the same screen for you. There will be a question on one side and the audio link on the other side with the play button. You click the play icon and the audio play. You use headphones, of course. Each audio you can listen to as many times as you want. There is it's not as if once you play the audio, you can't play it again. Not like that. It's in your hands. How many times you want to play the audio. Only thing I would say, I would caution is that in my experience, for example, when I check whether the paper is properly set or not, I actually sit and solve the paper myself. So I noticed that the audio takes the maximum time because you have to wait for the audio to play and then you have to go back to not go back, but the question will be same on the same screen. You'll have the question on one side, audio on one side. Yeah, if you don't get the answer in the first listening, you can play it again. There's no limit on how many times you can play the audio. Okay. So I hope, Disha, that answers your question. Then now, yeah, how we will know which center is allotted, that I'm sure that NPTEL, when I don't know whether they've sent you the hall tickets and all that. I'm not sure of that, but this is all administrative things which happen automatically. You'll get to know. Don't worry about that. Yeah, Saral. So we have come to the end of the chat questions also now. Saral, if you want to go live, you can ask. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Saral, can you hear me? Okay. Saral, if you want, you can ask you can unmute and ask, or you can type it here as you wish. Then Sonal has a question in the meantime. Will there be any negative marking? No, no negative marking. So if you make a mistake in an answer, you just get 0 for an. That's it. No negative marking. Can a teenager give the German exam? Yes, Sarala, if you're registered for the course and if you're registered for the exam, I don't know whether you have registered yourself for the exam. Yeah, there is no, I mean, if you are old enough to have an email ID, you can write the NPTEL exam. Yeah, okay, so there is another question. One second, sorry. Yeah, so Saral, you have registered for the course and the exam. That's fine. You should get your hall ticket if you have registered for the exam, and you will get to know your center very soon. And you can, of course, write the exam. Then, once again, Stephen has a question. Yeah, Saral, then Disha says, welcome, Disha. Then Stephen has a question. Can I learn till German 3 from NPTEL and directly appear for the B1 certification? Yes, of course you can. I would advise you to give the NPTEL exam so that you get a sense of how prepared you are at each stage. And if possible, do it continuously, in the sense, don't do it together, please. Don't do especially German 1 and German 3 together, because German 3 is quite, if you have seen the videos, you'll realize that it is a fairly advanced level. A lot of conversation in the classroom also happens in German. And German 3 we have recorded using the virtual classroom, because it was during COVID that we recorded German 3. So we could not meet physically. So we had the Zoom classroom in which we recorded German 3. So you will find that a lot of conversation is in German. And I would suggest do German 1, then German 2 and German 3, one after the other. And give the NPTEL exam so you know how well prepared you are. Stephen, I hope I'm answering your question correctly. And then there's no problem. You can register for the B1 exam and write the B1 exam directly. If you do well in German 3, definitely you will do well in B1 exam. No doubt about that, except for the speaking part, which you have to practice. But that also, if you're giving a B1 exam at the end of German 3, you can again write to us and we will see whether we can do something about how to give you an idea of what is expected in the speaking section in the B1 exam. Okay, so those things we can do. Even other people also, I've answered a question earlier today. If you're writing an international certification A1 exam later on after this course is over, you can let us know and we will see whether we can have a live session in which to give you an idea of how to approach that exam. So I hope, Stephen, I've answered your question. Then Atul Nagar says, even come on, I mean, it is, I already told you, even Schreiber for practice, meaning you can simply, like writing to a friend, asking the friend, shall we go out today evening or shall I come to your house? So things like that. It's as I said, it's not like I'm going to ask you to write a critical essay on some very important topic in German. No, it is just basic day-to-day stuff. Get your vocabulary right. Make sure that you're able to build simple sentences in German. That's enough for practice for the Schreiben part. Then, yeah, Sarah, you have registered. All the best. Alles Gute. Alles Gute für die Prüfung. Alles Gute für die Prüfung. Tanvi already wants the result. Result will come. I mean, I suppose. I don't know the timelines, but within a month or even less, I think, of the exam, the results will come. 2 to 3 weeks max. Okay, danke, bitte. Okay, then there's a. Yeah, so this is regarding typing errors. Nidhi is asking a question in the assignment. Now, I have tried to be as specific and as elaborate as possible in the instructions as to what you have to type in the blank. This always is a again is one of the constraints we have because of the mode in which we work. But it's okay. I mean, if you lost a few marks in one assignment because of such typing errors, then what to do? Okay. Okay, Stephen, I have answered. You're welcome. Then Naveen Bhatt says, yeah, A2 will be available immediately, meaning the courses are offered twice a year, once in July, which you're doing now, and once in January. So yes, A2 is going to be offered in January 23, not immediately, in a sense, November, December, there's a gap, and in January it will start and go on till April. Okay, that will be available. A2 will be available, and B1 also after that will be available in July next year. So those who want to complete until B1, if you have the time up to the end of next year, like October 23, then you can just continue with A2 in January and B1 in July 23. Can we have a live session on prepositions cases just before the SWAM exam? We can have a live session. Siddhant already said that we will have a live session sometime towards the end of the second week or early third week of October before the exam. I will tell the NPTEL people today itself that we will plan a live session. But how much I can go into explaining grammar, that is very, very difficult in a live session because I have to respond to as many questions as possible. And then I can only, like today, I gave you in a nutshell what trennbare Verben are or what Wechselprepositionen are. Up to that level, I can go. I mean, if a if a 2-minute capsule about one grammar topic makes things clear, then I can do that. But otherwise, I cannot, मतलब मैं class नहीं लगा सकता यहाँ पे ना. I cannot take a class in the live session. Okay. I hope you understand that, Siddhant. Okay. We will have a live session, and you can please be specific with your queries. I mean, and it would help. Like, for example, today I think Tanvi asked about what is this? Why is the mouse moving? My mouse is also live. Okay. So Tanvi asked, I think, about vexil prepositions. So next time you have a question like that, I would suggest get a couple of examples. Put the examples in the chat box and ask, why is this accusative and why is this dative? Or what is happening here? Then it is better, even for me, I can simply look at the example and explain what is happening. And then you can, of course, extrapolate from that and deduce from that, and you can find out for yourself. Yeah, now, thank you all for the compliments. Again, the same, which topic should we go through? Whatever you have done in the assignments, as I said, the examination will not go beyond that. Okay. Yeah, elementary German storybooks and all, I have it here. I mean, they are old. I have here safe. But online, you might, again, please put a request on the forum, and like audio links, we will give you links to online material that is available, simple things that you can read. Stephen asks the most important question. Okay. Will we have access to online dictionary in the exam? No. Learn your vocabulary. Okay. There is no option but to learn the vocabulary. Yes. Okay. So now I think the chat messages are also over. Active speaking, is there any website application? We can come back to it, Siddhant. If you are going to do the international certification exam, then as I said, after our exam in the last week of October is done, I also have to sit and do the corrections after that. There will be at least 1,000 to 2,000 of you will take the exam. Correcting 2,000 written assignments or written tasks is not a joke. So after that, we will take a call on how to give orientation to people who want to do the international certification exam in A1. So just get back to us after that, Siddhant, and we'll address it then. Okay, so I hope all your questions have been answered. We have already crossed 6 o'clock. Very quickly, anybody wants to unmute and ask any question? Last chance. Okay, so hoffentlich habe ich Ihre Fragen beantwortet. I hope I have answered your questions. Hoffentlich macht das Deutschlernen Ihnen Spaß. Das macht mir Spaß means it's a lot of, I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun for me. So I hope learning German, das Deutschlernen, is giving you joy, you're enjoying it. So hoffentlich macht das Deutschlernen Ihnen Spaß. Okay, Tanvia support has emailed support NPTEL. Sehr gut. Alles Gute und vielen Dank. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen, Sir. Danke.
Danke, Sir.
Thank you, sir.
Danke, Sir.
Wiedersehen.